to suggest that we all hail Quiroga. That's all I'm saying. However, to suggest that we all hail Quiroga. That's all I'm saying.
Son of a bitch.
Suggest that we all hail Quiroga.
This was supposed to be the longer clip. There we go. There we go. Let's try this again.
I'm going to take this opportunity, however, to suggest that we all hail Quiroga. That's all I'm saying.
There it is. He's the answer to Quiroga's dreams. Sweeter than sugar and fresher than pines. We love building bridges through valleys and ridges. We bow down at the feet of the great Mamo Pray. All hail Quiroga, the land of Jaloja. Our wheelchairs are fast and our beds fold in two. We like to drive around in Jeeps. We love the way it hoots and beeps. Going real fast makes sassy a-woo. All hail our mighty Lord and King, great ruler over everything. All hail Quiroga, Jaloja will reign. Qapla, everybody, and welcome to Conspiracy Tuesday here on the BirdZone. Pretend that's scary, spooky music. Yes, it's been a while since we've done a BirdZone, but everybody is talking conspiracies and paranormal stuff. Even Tim Pool started up a channel called Timcast IRL. That was just supposed to be another Timcast, channel. And everything he's doing has been aliens and UFOs and skinwalkers and lost ships in the Bermuda Triangle. So if Tim Pool is getting into it, it's got to be safe. Apparently YouTube doesn't hate him. So I'm thinking maybe YouTube backed off on their anti-conspiracy stuff. And hell, even Doomcock and Nerdrotic did their last Exozone on their main channel. So, on Doomcock's main channel. And I believe tomorrow's Exozone is on Gary's main channel. So, I think maybe the YouTube, blackout on conspiracy-laden videos has been reduced somewhat. Probably because there's lots of conspiracies against a certain person occupying a certain house of a certain color in Washington, D.C. But welcome, everybody. Cinnabon Bunny was first and says hi. Welcome, Cinnabon. Carlo Albany says hiya and like. Thank you, Carlo. Hail Karoga. Hail Karoga, indeed. Anti-Trekker says lies already. Oh, poor Anti-Trekker. He can't accept the truth. General Martok hailed Karoga of his own free will. Mike Richards says greetings from Columbus, Ohio. Greetings, Mike Richards. Anti-Trekker says you can tell he was forced. So obvious. Yeah. Fake news. Fake news from Anti-Trekker. Number one sci-fi says Bird of Prey. Tell Mama Prey that I love her more and more. She has heard that and she has her mouth full. Oh, she's answering. Oh, you answered in the stream. Very cool. Not Ryan Johnson says, huh? Oh, you answered Anti-Trekker too? Uh-oh. Not Ryan Johnson says hello and Qapla. Hello and Qapla, not Ryan Johnson. John Street says death to Karoga, General Martok 2020. 09A team, is it a deep fake? No, it's not a deep fake. And for anyone who thinks it's a deep fake, you can go to Axonar Comics channel. I have first the entire video is up on the Bird of Prey 5X channel, and I have a link to the original on Axonar Comics channel in the description of the video. But if you go to Axonar Comics video, he did a stream last evening with J.G. Hertzler, I believe is the name if I'm not mispronouncing it, which is the actor who played General Martok among many other characters. And you can go right about the 30-minute mark in the video is where he makes this decree of his own free will, under no distress, duress, no super chat, just made the decree right in the middle of talking about a part when he was first asked to read the part for Martok, and how he was originally kind of upset about it because he was a Shakespearean actor, and he knew what Klingons were, but he was like, oh, great. But it turned out to be a good move for him. He generally really loved Martok, and as he said in the interview, I don't want to give away all the spoilers, but he put a lot of himself into Martok. Carlo Albanese says, hope you and Sisso Prey, Mama Prey, Sassy are well. Well, Mama Prey, I, and Sassy are well. Sisso Prey moved out this morning officially. The moving truck came. That was actually on live with Peter Quinn. Guys, check out Peter Quinn, especially if you're up early in the Eastern time zone hours, because Peter Quinn's in the UK, so he streams kind of like 8, 9 a.m. Eastern, so yeah, which is early. But I was actually on with him. Maybe it was closer to 10 a.m. when they actually got here, and the moving company came to take her boxes out. So she's officially at her new place. Now, we'll still see her, obviously, from time to time, but it's not going to be every day. Anti-Trigger says, hashtag free Aberjam, free Martok. We're not holding them, Anti-Trigger, you know that. Anti-Trigger says, lol, so the song literally says, all hail Karoga, the land of piss. No, it says the land of Jaloja. Dan23 says, Bird of Prey. Your country is named after turd. So don't tell me that because there's piss, there's Jaloja in our anthem, that is somehow worse than an entire country named after turds. And your flag, your avatar, everything about is a literal piece of crap. You of all people are gonna say something because our song mentions Jaloja. Which, I might add, a Jaloja is different than a piss. A Jaloja is a sacred act that happens once a year. Dan23 says, Bird of Prey, I'm watching Deep Space Nine. the crossover on TV and the scene where Bashir shoots Odo and he explodes, they cut it and you see him, they cut it and you just see him shot at. Well, if it's on TV, they do, especially if it's on syndicated, if it's on BBC America, they probably cut certain scenes to increase the amount of commercials. So yeah, if you're not watching it on, I mean, that happens with all TV shows. You usually they cut scenes you don't notice, but any show on syndication, they've cut an extra minute or so out, perhaps 2 minutes on an hour show, so they could add additional commercials. That's why it's important to have it on DVD, so you can always watch the original. I am not on live chat. Thank you, Mamo Prey. I'm going to switch to live chat. Let's see. So did I miss? Are you saying I missed what you said? Okay. Let's go back and see if I missed anything from Mamo Prey. Immortal Technique says, hi, guys. Okay, yes, so somebody did say, oh, hi, Mamo Prey. Oh, no, they just say, hi, Mamo Prey. And fellow nerds. Shromore says, hi, Mamo Prey and fellow nerds. Okay, I didn't get to Mamo Prey. Immortal Technique says, hi, guys, welcome to Immortal Technique. Shromore says, in greetings to Sassy, chaser of cats, eater of cookies, stalker of cardinals, the filer of cushions, and scourge of the squirrels. As I move my tablet over to live chat, too. Okay. Mamo Prey says, hi all, love you all. There's Mamo Prey. Aberjam says, Bird of Prey, Anti-Trigger, and I can confirm that JG does indeed hail Karoga. He's been shouting it from the cell next to me all day. Aberjam, you're not being held in Karoga. So maybe that's Anti-Trigger holding the JG changeling. And Anti-Trigger says, Mamo Prey, hey, the only good thing to come out of Karoga is you. And Shromore says, hail Mamo Prey. Mike Richards says, hey Ma. Roxanne says, remember people, smash that like button, set chat to live, donate, and join the subscribe star if you can. Make sure you are also still subscribed. Turn mic and camera on before streaming, and down with Karoga. No, not down with Karoga. And today's not a camera stream. I'm just not up to it. Although I do have a shirt on, so it's not, wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, but. Anti-Trigger says, Aberjam, UK, we are coming for you both. Hang in there. Number one Sci-Fi says, Mamo Prey, love you more and more. Mamo Prey says, not nice, Anti-Trigger, but thank you. And Anti-Trigger lols. Aberjam says, Anti-Trigger, it rains Jaloja all day in Karoga, the land of golden showers. Captain Trek says, Qapla, hail Karoga, hail to Karoga, Qapla, Captain Trek. Anti-Trigger says, Bird of Prey of his own free will, people literally paid him to say it. So, no, they didn't pay him. He doesn't get the super chats. The super chats don't go to him. The super chats go to Axonar Comics. And I highly doubt that they had some type of deal where they're like, I'll send you all the super chats or even 50% of the super chats. I doubt the $20 they made in super chats was really the deciding factor on whether JG was doing that stream or not. Shrome was his Bird of Prey, hashtag Martok was a changeling, conspiracy or not. It's tough. It's tough, Shromore. I think he was a changeling for sure on the stream where he was with Anti-Trekker, but that was the Orville Nation stream. But I think last night's stream, that was not the changeling. I think he had just perhaps been confused in the beginning. Dan23 says, Bird of Prey, I have a conspiracy. Weird thing. Sometimes when you take a photo or video, you see these weird things moving in it. I don't know if it's dust particles or anything. Actually, Dan, what you are talking about are orbs. And yes, they can sometimes be explained as dust particles. They can sometimes be explained as lens flare. If you're using a flash, they can sometimes be reflections of the flash on dust or slightly bigger than dust particles, perhaps in the air. But there are many a times that there are pictures have been taken, including pictures we have taken in my family over the years, where the orbs are there and they seem to defy explanation. And curiously, my sister, Sis O'Prey, and I both noticed that we see these orbs, the orbs are in, these are pictures that were taken 30 years ago now, 35 years ago even. We see the orbs in some of the oldest pictures in the places in our home that we always felt were the spookiest. In hindsight, I mean, and we didn't talk about this at the time, but like maybe 20 years later, Sis O'Prey and I talked, and we started talking about how in our old house in Brooklyn, which wasn't the house we were born into, it was because we were born, Mom O'Prey and Dad O'Prey were living in an apartment, and then they ended up buying a house in Canarsie, and our childhood took place more or less in that house. It was a very nice house for Brooklyn, and there was this one hallway that just went to the side door, and it had like a small bathroom off of it, and there was little like 4 steps going up to the kitchen. You could go to the garage. There was a closet, and then there were steps to the basement, and then you could go to the foyer. So between the foyer and the kitchen, you had a closet and steps going down to the basement. That part of it was fine, but the hallway from the edge of the kitchen steps to the side door was spooky as anything. It scared the shit out of me and Sis O'Prey. Diana will admit this too. It was spooky. We did not like it. That there was just something about that hallway that scared us. It did. It really did. We talked about it years ago. We both that was one place. So like pictures that were taken in that area seemed to have orbs. Now the basement, yeah, it wasn't too scary. It actually became my bedroom, so it wasn't really scary at all. But in my grandmother's house, the spooky spot for us was at the top of the stairs was the hallway that went through all the bedrooms and also stairs up to the attic. Just getting up there, going up the steps was fine, but once you were up in that hallway, we were scared. Lights had to be on. And the problem was that was the only bathroom in the house. Well, there was a bathroom in the basement, but the only good bathroom in the house. There wasn't a bathroom on the main floor. So if you were there for dinner for several hours, you had to use the bathroom. You had to walk up the steps, and as a kid, it was scary as heck again. So again, pictures in that hallway seem to have more orbs than pictures taken elsewhere in the home. So I do believe that there is something. I don't know. I don't have an answer. I'll be honest. But we noticed a connection. Both Sis O'Prey and I did notice a connection. And I don't remember the story, but I remember Mom O'Prey telling me the story, or Sis O'Prey telling Mom O'Prey the story years later, and Mom O'Prey confirming that it had happened. But do you remember when Sis O'Prey was, young, and she saw some type of apparition outside her bedroom door with some like fire glowing around it? You do, yeah. Yeah, Sis O'Prey saw something in our house. It was right outside her bedroom door that she described as a ghost with like these little fire lights of fire floating around it. I didn't see it. I wasn't there for that for whatever reason, but she saw it. Where did you hate Mom O'Prey? Oh, yeah, okay, yeah. The upstate, I didn't even get into, yeah, the upstate house, the Adirondacks house, the entire, well, for Diana and I, we spoke about it. The entire staircase going upstairs was the scariest part of that house. Mama said the landing, as soon as you get to the top, it was another area that was just very, I mean, the entire Adirondack house, the entire upstate house was known to be, known to the people in the area, known to be haunted for a long, long time. And there are ghost stories from lots of people in that town about strange things happening in and around that house. The electrician, the plumber, a guy run across the street and up a mountain, and then refused to go back into the house because he knew he was alone and things were being pulled and moved, and he was out. He left his tools, he left everything behind, ran across the street and up a mountain. I'm not just saying like a 20-foot hill. He ran up a goddamn mountain. It is literally, next to it is a ski lodge. He ran up the mountain. He did not want to come near the house. So yeah. But that house, yeah, again at the top of that steps, at Mama Pray saying she would get that feeling. I would say the entire Adirondack house, when we would take pictures, there's orbs everywhere. Lots of orbs. Yeah, and Lilydale. But Lilydale, for those who don't know, it is an artist's colony on the outskirts, very close to the Pennsylvania border near Buffalo, New York. Yeah, it's thought to be a psychic hotspot. There were quite a few orbs and photos there too. Shromore says hashtag free Auntie. #1 sci-fi says it's a fake. Mike Richards saying Anti-Trigger's being picky. Anti-Trigger says no super chat. That's a bald-faced lie. There were super chats through the night, but that was not in response to a super chat. The only time I asked for him to say it, I didn't ask him to. First off, I didn't super chat him, asking him to say anything. My whole super chat was, even if you don't believe in Kuroga, we still believe in you. It's a good day to smash a turd. Hail Kuroga. To which he replied, and you were correct, you cut this out and you showed us. He replied, no, death to Kuroga. But that was literally like the first 2 minutes of the stream. He had no idea what was going on. He'd yet to settle in. Then, like I said, 30 minutes into the stream, when it came up again, I didn't do the super chat. If there was a super chat, it wasn't from me. He said, and again, he was in the middle of telling a story about he was how when he first auditioned for Martok, and he decided to pause inexplicably in the middle of the story and just say, I wanna get this out. Everybody should hail Kuroga. And then he went back to telling his story. So that was, to be honest, I'm not 100% sure why he did that, but I was happy he did. Captain Cat says Shromore Martok is a changeling is the truth. Carlos says, I heard that Turtistani robots have destroyed their home and they are now on the run to find somewhere else. Bird of Prey, I don't know why they called them Cylons. It could be. Howard Jam says Anti-Trigger Bird of Prey lies and cheats. That's perfectly normal Kurogan behavior. I don't lie and cheat. Okay, and another thing, Anti-Trigger, was that just because people claimed I cheated in Words with Friends the other night, how can you know you can't even cheat in that game? There's no way to cheat. There are no cheat codes. There's no way to pad your score. Everybody saw my answers, and I happened to win because I'm very good at those type of games. And I'm sorry that people were upset that I won, but that's not cheating. This is why all my friends, they always root for me to fail, because they always get tired of me winning. Rock solid, hashtag free a poo. Yes, well, we want a poo back in The Simpsons. Carlos says, I wish Sisso Prey a wonderful time on a new adventure. Thank you. Anti-Trigger says, Mama Prey. Thank you, Joseph Patrick. I'll get right there. Thank you for the 23-minute late notification, YouTube. Oh, I'm so sorry, Joseph. So far, you only missed a rant about orbs and haunted places. Anti-Trigger says, Mama Prey, you should knock Bird upside the head. He just lied to everyone. Go back and look, and Sci-Fi Nation and others were super chatting him to get him. Okay, if somebody else was super chatting him to say something, then I'm not saying they didn't. I just know I didn't super chat him. I didn't read all the chats. In fact, I was multitasking when I heard him say, and hail Karoga, and I quickly went back. And I was like, holy shit, did he just say that? And I looked at the timestamp, and it was just about 31 minutes. I was like, okay, after the stream is over, I'll download it, and I'll go back. And I downloaded the video, and sure enough, that's exactly where he said it. So I never went back to look at super chats, but I knew Iowa didn't super chat on. That's all I can say. And thank you, Carlo, for wishing Sisso Prey a wonderful time in her new adventure. Number one sci-fi says, Bird of Prey, where did Sisso Prey move to? Another apartment in Queens, but a bit of a distance from us, so 7 miles as the crow flies, but that's easily 20 minutes to get there via New York City. 25 mile per hour speed limits and busy roads. Josh Street says, the true pictures of Karoga have been found, Bird of Prey. Look at Discord. Let's see, I have Discord open. True picture of Karoga. Is that a sewer? Let's see. Copy link. Great. A picture of a sewer. This is, first off, this is total fake news. This is not a true picture of Karoga. But I'm not going to hide and say, oh, he didn't even get to show the picture. People can make up their own mind. And the Turkey says, I admit I'm a piece of crap, but I do not live in the land of crap. You live in the land of piss. Your country is named after crap. How do you expect me to believe it's not the land of crap? Number one sci-fi says, Mama Prey, love you more and more. Aberjam says, once a year, Bird of Prey, you Jaloja twice every stream. Well, that's me. That's not a Jaloja. That's just me using the term. In fact, it's most other people. We use the term Jaloja to mean piss, but the reality is a Jaloja is a sacred event. It's not the same as your everyday urination. Rock Solid says, Aberjam, and forgets to mute the mic 50% of the time. No, I don't forget it 50% of the time. Once. I forgot to mute the mic once in a year plus of streaming. Probably close to 2 years. I don't even know now. Douglas Grady says, hi guys, Qapla Douglas Grady. Aberjam says, Rock Solid Productions, rare treat. Rock Solid put out a video this morning, or earlier today, depending on your time zone. Check it out. One part of the video, he shows he's at a con. He's at a video game con, and there's a woman there who's wearing a homemade Wesley Crusher sweater. And in the comment, I said she wears it better than Wesley ever did. And he said, well, he told her to subscribe to me, Anti-Trekker, and Lore Reloaded, I think. So I hope she does. If you're the person out there wearing the Wesley Crusher sweater, Qapla, welcome. And you were the highlight of her Rock Solid video. Because I'll be honest, I was never a fan of TurboGrafx 16. Now, if he was doing a Sega Master System, then I was okay. Then the Sega Master System would have be on top. But versus TurboGrafx 16, that was like the loser of loser systems. Not to anybody who had it, but no offense to anyone who had a TurboGrafx 16. But come on, that was like barely a system. Rock Solid wants Dear Bob. No Dear Bob. Aberjam says, Bird of Prey, why on earth would a Kurdistani force his prisoners to hail Karoga? Because false flag, Aberjam, false flag. You gotta understand what false flag is. Richie Poole says, hello everyone. Well, back to work for me. Oh, I'm sorry, Richie Poole, but welcome. Carlo Albanese says, Bird of Prey, anti-tracker knew JG didn't have a pen in his cell, so I think that's proof he's in a Kurdistani cell. Yes, that's right. He said you don't have a pen, I think. Captain Track says, Dear Mop, Dear Mop, Dear Mop. I gotta work on Dear Mop. Carlos says, so JJ was just talking, taking film of orbs. Yes, that could have been. It could be the orbs that cause all JJ films to look like that. Mike Richards says, orbs, Bajoran orbs. No, not Bajoran orbs. These orbs aren't visible if not on camera. At least not usually, and they don't make you don't have orb experiences if you touch one, or just, are in the presence of one. Rock Solid says, Bird of Prey, I totally manufactured orbs when on a haunted walk in New Orleans in 2009. I had everyone in our group convinced they were real. I managed to replicate easily multiple times. Just because you can replicate it doesn't mean that they're not sometimes real. I wasn't causing orbs to show up. I just took pictures and they were there. Andy Tracker says, Burke at Burke. Number one, Sci-Fi says, Bird of Prey, do you have any other brothers or sisters? No, just me and Sis O'Prey and Sassy. My furry. Although I'm Sassy's daddy, so. I don't know how that works. Sometimes Sassy's a sibling. Sometimes Sassy's a child. Anti-Trigger says, Bird of Prey, read a bit more carefully. I did not say they paid JG to say it. I said they paid to have JG say it. The person who paid was, of course, Action Art Comics. About also $20, maybe just from you. But Axanar Comics didn't tell him to say it. Axanar Comics read some super chats, but you can go back to that video clip. I will guarantee you in the minute before and minute after, at no point did he ask him to say Hail Karoga. And if you don't believe me, you can go back and I said it's 31 minutes in. The link is on the Bird of Prey 5X channel for the video. At no point did he ask him to say Hail Karoga. Well, I don't say at no point. At that point, he had not asked him to say Hail Karoga. If he did, it was like 15 minutes before, and he clearly chose not to. But I don't recall him asking. And certainly didn't say that in response to a super chat that Axanar Comics told him to say it. Carlos is Bird of Prey when Mamo Prey. When is Mamo Prey Film Friday? I mean, when is Mamo Prey choosing a film for us? I don't know, Carlo. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a while before. Well, we'd have to do it on a day other than Saturday, because Saturdays are filled for the next several years. Aberjam says, typical Bird goes off on a ramble to deflect the accusations. Darth Revan says, Bird of Prey, oh hey man, Qapla, Darth Revan. Mike Richards says, the basement became Bird's bedroom, and then it became scary. Ha ha ha. Now I've told this story, but okay. So we moved into this house. We were really, really young, right? My sister, I think we were 4 and 6 years old. I was 6, huh? So I was 4 and my sister was 2. And so there was 3 bedrooms upstairs. The master bedroom, which was Mom and Dad O'Prea's. Right across the hallway from that bedroom, slightly on an angle, maybe like a foot or 2 off center from the door, was the smallest bedroom in the house. And then at the very end of the hallway was the second biggest bedroom in the house, which had a great view. It had 2 windows out the front of the house, or at least 1 window out the front, 1 out the side. It was a pretty nice bedroom. But they asked us which bedroom did we want, and being the older sibling, I got to pick first. Now, as much as I liked the bigger bedroom, for me it was no question I wanted the smaller bedroom, not because of its size, but because it was closer to Mom and Dad's bedroom, God forbid. Of anything, I felt night if we usually slept with the doors open in the house. So, I figured, well, I could sleep if I put my bed here. I could, honestly be looking at their room and it wouldn't scare me so much to sleep in the room. And so Sis O'Prey ended up with the bigger bedroom. Okay, so Antitrick wants me to check Skype. I will check Skype as soon as I'm done. So I wound up with the small bedroom, which didn't bother me, for most of my childhood. But eventually, I got bigger and my room kept being the same size. So I was like, okay. So I spoke to the parents, and we weren't really doing anything with the basement, so they were nice enough to carpet it for me, and I made it into my bedroom. So I went from having the smallest bedroom in the house to the biggest bedroom in the house, with just a couple of problems, such as the only light switch being at the top of the steps. But I solved that one on my own using a system of strings and pulleys. So that was very proud of that. Very proud of that. And yeah, so that was a good bedroom. Once I became old enough to appreciate it. Okay, what is going on Skype, Anti-Tracker? Sorry it was Tubian, not Sci-Fi Nation. Notice the timestamp. Okay, so Tubian says, would JG say Hail Karoga, please? And when was this timestamp? 3018. Okay, so your theory, Anti-Tracker, is that JG read the super chat on his own accord and decided to say Hail Karoga without being prompted to by Axanar Comics. It's a theory. I'll give you that. I don't know if I believe it, but I will give you it's a possibility. However, I still say he said it under his own accord. He was not asked to say it by Axanar Comics. Roxodds is Bird of Prey, the troll living in the basement under the stairs, confirmed. When you're a teenager, the basement bedroom is the best bedroom. Vile Mike says, no wonder Martok says death to Karoga. Its leader, Bird of Prey, is a coward and afraid of ghosts. First, Martok himself said that overcoming one's personal fears is the greatest challenge. when Garrick had to overcome his fear of claustrophobia to signal the runabout that was inexplicably left in orbit around the prison. He said, yes, one's personal fears are the biggest to overcome. Secondly, I was not a coward. I slept in the basement bedroom, far from parents O'Prey and sis O'Prey. Although I did have an intercom system, God forbid of anything. I could press a button and intercom up to the upstairs bedrooms. Dan says, Bird of Prey, what do you think about the trials or white streaks? Oh, chemtrails. What do you think about the trails or white streaks aeroplanes and jets leave behind them that many people call chemtrails? I think it's total bullshit, Dan. I do. I love a good conspiracy theory, but for that to be true, that every passenger plane is fitted to output chemicals by the government, and what pilots don't report this. Pilots are in on it, or what? There are just hundreds of planes that are flying that aren't commercial airplanes that people just assume are commercial airplanes that are outputting chemtrails to change No, it's stupid. It doesn't make any sense. First off, it's a complete waste. If you were going to release chemicals, you're it's too high up to do it. You could do it far more effectively on the ground. You could just do it to groundwater. You can do it. You could go to the reservoir or drill into the groundwater and just pump any chemicals you want into the water without needing to fly airplanes around all day at costs of how many millions of dollars for airplanes for pilots, and God knows how many people would have to be involved for this chemtrail conspiracy, where you could just go buy an acre of land somewhere near a watershed or whatever, put in a secret bunker, and just, have some guy visit the place once a month to add some chemicals to a tank, and just let it go in. Nobody's going to ever find it, especially if you're pumping it into the ground. You could just poison the water that way, which, forgetting any reason as to why poisoning the water would be something anybody wants to do, it could be done. The unfortunate fact is, we do a great job of poisoning ourselves with not only pharmaceuticals and chemicals that run back into our water supply, but also the fact that almost everything we eat or drink comes out of plastic these days. And whether it's PBA free or not, the chemicals that are in the plastic and line, even in tin cans, they have like a coating to prevent, I don't know if it's rust or whatever it is, but the coating, these all contain chemicals that are particularly bad for men because they mimic estrogen in almost every way. So I'm sure it's bad for women too to have extra estrogen, but it's more noticeable on men. So we don't need help doing it. It's already happening. We wouldn't need to have hundreds of planes or fleets of thousands of planes around the world spraying chemicals out at 35, 36,000, 40,000 feet. Just a lot of waste of energy, time, and material. Vinny of Hermes Qapla, Vinny says, Martok was infiltrated. All hail Karoga. All hail Karoga indeed. Welcome, Vinny. Carlos says, hail Karoga, hail Karoga. Sci-Fi Nation, greetings, Birdo Prey, Malfrey, Sassio, Pramphel, nerds. Hail Karoga, Sci-Fi Nation. And the truth is, anyone noticed last night that Birdo Prey was nowhere to be seen when the N-word spammer showed up? Coincidence. Yeah, because I was asleep, and I was asleep. Mao Prey objects to you even insinuating that. And furthermore, I watched your entire stream this morning, Anti-Trigger, so I know that when somebody suggested it on your stream, you stopped it. You said no, in all honesty. The Kuroga Turdistan stuff is in good fun, but your words were that you know me personally and that I am a great guy and I would never do such a thing. And I think we both know that that is true. Yes, that the Anti-Tracker did. He stopped the stream, and he told everybody that. So that, yes, the truth. So he's just bringing up now, just to ruffle feathers. But yeah, the BS. But no, I watched his stream last night. I saw what happened. Captain Trek this morning. Captain Trek says, Sci-Fi Nation greetings. I know somebody did say, well, Bird admits to being a troll, and I do. And I know how trolls think. And honestly, if we want to talk about it, Anti-Tricker, the fact that you called the guy out and started talking about him and tried to talk to him directly, it's not something I would have done, but, you know, it's your call. I mean, it's your stream. I wouldn't have handled it that way, but I hope it works out. That's usually the worst thing you want to do with a troll. Vinny of Hermes says, very strange indeed. Carlos says, Anti-Trigger, I said that to you, you defend. Yes. Darth Vader says, Bird of Prey, when I was in my 20s, before my ankles, I went walking in an abandoned house across the road from me with my neighbor, and I saw a man in front of me, as real as my pupper is now. And you're saying, so I'm assuming it wasn't a real person that you saw in front of you? Because, I mean, I have no reason. The way you say it, I would just assume it was a man in front of you. But I'm assuming you mean it wasn't a man, that he wasn't really there. Which I think is something we see sometimes. I think when we're not expecting to see something, we're not expecting it and we see something, and our brain has to try and process what we just saw. We process it to be a person, even if it really wasn't a person that we saw. Sci-Fi Nation says, nice try, Anti-Trigger. Dear leader, God Emperor, glorious Kuroga was sleeping. Indeed I was. Sci-Fi Nation says, greetings to Captain Trek. Number one Sci-Fi says, Bird of Prey, how much taxes do you collect from Kurogan citizens? Kuroga has a fair tax, flat tax. We take the lowest possible amount we need to balance the budget for any given year, generally around 10%. But it could go up or down depending on needs. Darth Revan says, Anti-Trekker, what's the guy's name? I will keep an eye out when I'm there and do the mod squad on it on Discord. The guy's name was just N-word, 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 N-word. From what I hear. Also, apparently, he was taking other names, including names of other users, including Nerdrotic, and even avatars of other users trying to blend in. Now, Nerdrotic, you would know if it was Nerdrotic, because Nerdrotic does have a check mark next to his name. So if you ever see Nerdrotic in a stream, but he doesn't have a check mark next to his name, that's not the real Nerdrotic. And the director says, Bird of Prey already said it was from Sci-Fi, not you. And yes, he has read the super chat. He was reading the super chat. Well, that's your theory. And the trigger says, Kuroga, land of piss. Sci-Fi Ninja and the trigger has to go back and rewatch the stream. It wasn't from me, yes. And then he admitted that it wasn't from you. Roxanne says, Bird of Prey may not cheat and use your words. He does lie about the results. No, just because I was honest when I said, and at the time, with you, Bird of Prey 5 was never defeated. The loss was to the user BOP5. So, at the time, I was quite honest. in saying that. Now, obviously, I can't say that now because I did lose as Bird of Prey 5. It's rare, but it happens. Darth Revens is Bird of Prey. You have no friends, only potatoes with faces. Then they're all going to become French fries very soon. Vinny says, our beloved leader is the greatest tactician. Thank you. Anti-Trigger says, sorry, I thought it was you, Sci-Fi Nation. Must have been one of the other users with sci-fi in the name, which it wasn't. It was Tubian. Sci-Fi Nation's Anti-Trigger asked JG many questions about John Calicos at the end of the stream. You know, if we ever get that real, if Anti-Trigger is ever able to get JG on his stream, there is still so many more questions I wanted to ask, but I didn't want to keep putting in the chat because I assumed Axonar Comics Trey had his own questions to ask. I mean, it was his interview, but there's like the episode where Martok, where we find out that Martok is the changeling, or they go to kill. They think Gowron's the changeling, and Cisco, O'Brien, and Odo, who is a human being at that point, or who's solid at that point and not able to shapeshift, all had to get surgically altered, which means they had to put on the Klingon makeup, and they go to Kronos, and Martok interacts, the actor Martok interacts directly with Odo. So, and I think they have a couple other interactions throughout the seasons, but clearly, at least in that episode, JG and Rene Auberjonois were recording together. So I was gonna see what if he remembered anything about that episode. And obviously, since Rene recently passed away, was there anything he could share to us about it? And I assume he would have nothing but good things to say about Odo, the actor. But I was curious about that. It seemed like I was the one to force the question between him and Aaron Eisenberg Nog on the Axonar stream, and nobody ever thought to ask about Rene Auberjonois on either stream. Anti-Trigger says, Bird of Prey, you said, and I quote, there were no super chats, so next time check your facts first. Well, Anti-Trigger, there were no super chats. Obviously, there were many super chats during the stream. I put in 2 myself. So, I mean, if you're clearly taking that out of context. Roxaz's Bird of Prey is Sis O'Prey now represented by AOC. Can she arrange a meeting for you? I'm not sure. She might be. If she's not in AOC's district, she is close. Captain Cat says, Anti-Trigger, what do you do at work? He can't answer that. Sci-Fi Nation says, that's a picture of Turtistan. Yeah, that's sewer. I think so. Ungaremus is awesome. I love birds. Constipation Tuesday. No, it's conspiracy. Carlos is Anti-Trigger and Bird of Prey. Please, can we all just get along? Lol, this war is going too far. Yes, as soon as Turtistan surrenders. Roxaz is Bird of Prey. Don't forget to mute the mic so he leaves it on deliberately. No, I didn't leave it on deliberately. Anti-Trigger is Bird of Prey, so you admit every time you say you are Jalodering, it is a lie, just to add to the counter. It is not a lie. It is, Anti-Trigger. Like when you say the Romulans are slaves, okay? When you say every time, you're for the 1500th time today, when you were saying Romulans were slaves, and then when people say, but that's not what a slave is, and you say, well, I was meaning it figuratively, not literally. So I was meaning Jaloja figuratively. and not literally in those cases. Okay? There's something you should be able to understand. Mike Richards says, if your boys can't play nice, you can't play at all. Yeah, that was like the old days. You say sticks and stones would break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Nobody believes that anymore. Now you have to force the kids to play. It's not playing is not an option. They have to play together. Captain Cat says, Bird of Prey, what was the date you forgot to unmute? I don't remember. It was probably 2 or 3 weeks ago, Captain Cat. Darth Revan says, Bird of Prey, can you tell Sisso Prey I wish her all the happiness in the world on her new adventures and adventures to come for the whole family. Well, thank you, Darth. I will do my best to remember to tell her that. I did tell her there was somebody had asked in the comments last night if she has a registry. She does, but she was in such a rush to get out of here today. She didn't have time to give me the details, but she said later today she will let me know what they were. Yes, she's still getting things together, and she was, she has been, she came back from Mexico, was doing cat sitting, went to work where they sprung this question about whether she could move to Sydney, and then she had to move into her new place today. So she has had nonstop for 3 or 4 days. So she needs a little time to get back to reality here. Rock says, the Bird of Prey, the woman with Wesley Crusher's sweater had Ferengi-style teeth. Scary, not joking. Rock Solid, so what? She's British? That's fine. I don't judge people by their teeth, Rock Solid. But, I merely said she wore the sweater well, and I stand by that statement. Better than Wesley. Sci-Fi Nation says, Anti-Trigger Bird's not lying. He just can't get to the P corner in time. Well, there's no P corner here, luckily. Vinny says the good game on TurboGrafx 16 was just Bonk's Adventure. The more I think about it, I didn't have the TurboGrafx 16, but I think they had like a 32-bit, a TurboGrafx 32X or something. I think I had that for like a month. And I was like, this is not... I did play Bonk on it. For whatever reason, they had a Bonk game. The Bonk game wasn't bad. I mean, their Bonk was like their Mario or their Sonic. But that was the only game of value, I believe, on TurboGrafx. Rock says, Bird of Prey, I linked to the video where I got my Master System in 2018 in the video today in the Genesis Mini Tower of Power. Yeah, the Tower of Power was pretty awesome, but being I'd never seen that in person and I really don't know what it does, it wasn't real to me. And the Driggers of Sci-Fi said that he does not Geloja, but he's just pissing. So the lies. It's figurative. Joseph says, so what conspiracies are on the menu today? Well, honestly, I was thinking about all the conspiracies people are coming up with for the Iowa problem. And as much as Anti-Trigger says that he doesn't care about what happens in Iowa, and to be honest, I mean, it's not like my candidate was running in Iowa or anything, but even Sisso Prey was concerned about what's going on because Iowa uses a caucus system, which is an incredibly basic system based on people tallying votes of people raising hands in a big public space. And they count those hands and they write it down in a book. It couldn't be more simple, and yet there has been something has happened that they could not release those numbers at 9-something last night when they were expecting to, like 10 p.m. Iowa time. This was supposed to be done and over with. But all night, CNN was on a special report, hoping that they would get the answers or the results in any moment. And then it came to morning, and they're like, nope, it's going to be later today. And now they're saying 5 p.m. they should have partial results available at 5 p.m. today. And tonight is the State of the Union, by the way. So all the Democrats apparently declared victory, which is fine. Actually, it's what I would have done in their place. But this is a disaster. This is a failure of democracy on the highest level, and it's from relying on technology. Apparently, the blame right now is being put on an app, a poorly coded app. And by app, I mean literally an app on a phone. I can't understand why in the name of all things holy they would introduce a phone app as the way to get the numbers to the state to do the tallying. That is recipe for disaster. Phone apps are infected by malware. You don't even know how many phones are infected by malware. Almost every phone in this country has some type of malware on it. How bad the malware is can be relatively minor. But, I mean, Apple has found malware in their apps. Google has found tons of malware in their apps. Nobody really checks for this stuff. That's why the president doesn't just get an iPhone. It has to be completely, redone, and they gotta check it, and they gotta reprogram it, and they have to make sure it's 100% safe to use. And that's why Trump couldn't tweet long tweets for like 6 months after everyone else got the long tweets. He was still using the short tweets because they had to physically recode his phone. It was just for him. You can't just let people use apps to transmit election data. That is recipe for disaster. Russians or not Russians, just Americans. It is so ridiculously easy to compromise a phone or a bunch of phones. You don't need all that much information to do it. And it's scary. Okay? Now, in the past, you never had an app. Like in New York, you would go into a physical booth that was a 100% mechanical machine with gears and levers and switches. Gears, it looked like the Enterprise, original Enterprise bridge, like big jelly switches, buttons, levers when you're done, and it gave a paper ballot the size of unfolded newspaper. But it was tamper-proof. It was tamper-proof. And the machines had a manual count as to how many votes were cast. And it was easy to line that up. And granted, it took a little longer to record the votes, to count the votes, because they were manually made, but you could do it. And maybe you had someone who was cheating, and maybe the vote count would be off by 2, 3, 4, 5 votes, but you're not going to be off by hundreds or thousands or millions. When you start adding electronics, now in New York, you go to vote, it's electronic. There's a push screen, a touch screen, and it prints out some shit with a barcode. You don't know what the hell is going on. They say, oh, there's a paper trail. Who's ever looking at this paper trail? Maybe there's no printer in the thing. You don't know what's happening. And then they're like, we're just supposed to believe that the computer network has tallied up all these votes correctly. Because why? Because computer programmers are such patriots? No. It is a total disaster, and nobody should be voting electronically. It should be forbidden by the Constitution to vote electronically. Just like it should be something like they force a census, a manual census. There should be manual voting. If it takes 5 days to find the outcome of the election, so the F what? We're in no rush. We don't need to know who's elected president the day of election day. If it took a day, a week, a month, it really wouldn't matter. Or maybe a month would be a little long. But if it took a week, who cares? Okay? The point is you want it to be accurate. And what the conspiracy theories I'm hearing, and to be honest, these are the only things that make possible sense as to why they have been unable to release any votes. Because you say, okay, if they're taking the long way around and they're doing the votes manually, then they should have been able to release votes as they were coming in. You know, like 10 years ago, they would get the votes manually and they would release the votes as they came in. But they chose to hold back all the votes for at least another hour. Something bigger happened. And the only thing that makes sense, and I'm not saying this is what happened, but in my head canon, the only thing that makes sense, and I've seen other people bring this up on Twitter as the reason, though they don't have any proof, is that they recognized that they had more votes cast in districts than there were registered voters. And when that happens, that is proof positive something went very wrong, that there was fraud. And you can't release to CNN, even to CNN, right? You can't release to the public that county, Sioux County had 2,500 total votes cast when they have 2,320 registered voters. Or whatever, 20,000. Doesn't matter. If the number of registered voters is less than the number of votes cast, that's an absolute problem. And that is the only problem I can imagine that would cause this type of, total stoppage of releasing the numbers. Because what the F do you do? How the F do you solve that problem? How do you solve a problem if you've got 50 precincts reporting and 30 of them have more votes than there were voters supposed to vote? What are you going to say? Redo the election? How do you solve that? You don't. It's going to take a lot of time. I don't know what they're doing. Captain Cat says, "Hail Karoga, my brother from another mother." Thank you, Captain Cat, for your $2 super chat. And Sci-Fi and Carlo all say, "Hail Karoga, hail Karoga." So that was my conspiracy theory for the day. That was the big one I wanted to say. And people have other opinions on what might be going on there. I'd love to hear it. I'm not putting blame on any particular person or group. I just thinking that something screwed up and they must have had more votes than voters in more than one precinct. And it put the kibosh, it put the stops, the brakes on everything, because right now everything is suspect. Mama Pray, she's looking at me. Oh, read the chats. Okay, well, I've got a ways to go down. Captain Track says, "Bird of Prey, no one forces me to say Hail Karoga." Hail Karoga, Captain Track. Wesley says, "Bird of Prey, greetings, birds, turds, and alpacas. I'm late." Wesley, I'm sorry you're late, but I'm glad you're here now. Rock Solid says, "Bird of Prey, I was getting to the orbs happen with light reflections into the lens of my Palm Pre." Your Palm Pre, Rock Solid. I'm impressed. I'm impressed. Rock Solid says, "I love furries. Sassy is a furry. Confirmed." Oh, Bird of Prey loves furries. Sassy is a furry. Confirmed. I do. I love Sassy. I love all my beagles, all my pets, even the feathered ones. I had a bird named George. George was my bird when I lived in the basement. He was my first non-fish pet. That was all mine. No, but Princess wasn't just mine. I mean, Princess was a family pet. That was our first beagle. And now you guys all know the answer to 20% of my security questions. Yeah, well, you sewed it, Mom. What's your first pet, Princess? Darth Revens is in Alabama. Sassy can be both sister and child and a wife. Well, yeah, but this is not Alabama. Where are we? Just reading the Bird of Praise. Wesley says, "How is the weather in Karoga?" Not terrible today. Rambling Canucks is Bird of Prey. Hope you are well and you need Mamo Prey Story Hour, but think the channel would be bigger than Anti-Trackers. It probably would. Wesley says Sisso Prey is 39 and having a baby. Oh my. Yeah. Her first baby at 39. That's why she was really, really, behind doing this. It took a lot of her time. She went through hell. She went through a small section of hell to get this far. So I wish her nothing but the best. Captain Cat says, hello guys and girls and furries and citizens of Karoga. Hail to the God Emperor Bird of Prey and the Queen Mamo Prey. Darth Revan says Bird of Prey, and in the smallest bedroom of your house is where they used to beat a baby Joe until he praised her to stand and said, I'm a woman? I don't think so, Darth Revan. Darth Revan says Bird of Prey, doors open. If my mom and daddy O'Prey tried to make another sibling O'Prey, that would be terrifying. Darth Revan, that's a story for another time. Wesley says, confirm Bird of Prey is scared of the dark. Well, no, as I got older, we actually liked the dark. In fact, we invented a game called the Dark Game, where we would purposely black out the windows and shut off all the lights and just play like Manhunt or, Tag, Manhunt or Tag in the complete dark. It was awesome. Wesley says, confirmed. Darth Revan's a Bird of Prey. They carpeted the room to muffle your screams. They carpeted the room because it was a dark, black, cold tile on the floor. Number one sci-fi says, Ball Karoga, Fall Karoga, Jail Karoga, Nail Karoga, Quail Karoga, Sail Karoga, Tail Karoga, Impale Karoga, Curtail Karoga. What? Number one sci-fi? I thought you were on my side. Darth Revan says Bird of Prey. Are you sure you didn't use a combination of strings and pulleys to pull anything else? No comment. Captain Cat says Bird of Prey. Anti-Tracker said it was someone with sci-fi in the name. Anti-Tracker is going senile. Launch the attack. No, it's a senior moment. It happens. It happens. Even I even I make mistakes every once in a while. Rock Solid says Bird of Prey has given away too much thought to poisoning groundwater. Doesn't everybody think, when you're in a time alone and you have some time to think to yourself, that if you had to poison the groundwater, how you would do it? I mean, I'm assuming most people think that at some point in their life. Rock says, Bird of Prey, you don't know the difference between PBA and PBR, I'm willing to bet. Yeah, you're right. I don't. I mean, I know PBA is the Police Benevolence Association, but I also thought it was a chemical in plastics. I'm not too curious about the specifics. Continuing tracks is Bird of Prey. The planes may be expensive, but the Illuminati can afford it. Yeah. Darth Revan says Bird of Prey. Furthermore, it's furthermore. It's furthermore? I'm sorry if I mispronounced it. Calls is Bird of Prey. I'm sorry I said on your stream that I was only messing and said that out and said how good a person you are. I didn't mean you weren't trolling. I didn't mean you were trolling Anti-Trigger. You wouldn't do that to him. It's okay, Carlo. Like I said, I wasn't particularly worried about it. I knew Anti-Trigger knew, and I assumed you knew. I really didn't think anyone there honestly thought it would have been me. Because to be completely honest, if I decided to troll Anti-Trekker, he would be a hell of a lot more creative than just a crazy username, racist username, and repeating it over and over. Anti-Trekker says, Bird of Prey, is only kidding about you being a troll. However, you need to admit the truth about Martok and Aberjam. The truth is that we do not have Aberjam or Martok being held in Karoga. That shouldn't be a difficult truth to believe. If anybody believes that I am holding Martok or Aberjam in Karoga, they have some serious problems. Captain Cat says to Captain Track, Anti-Trigger's too busy giving Bird of Prey his special love. No, why would you say that? Roxanne is only 25 minutes behind Bird of Prey. Well, today's the day I was talking about things, so I didn't expect I would be up to the minute in chat. Lubos Chuddy Qapla Lubos says, Vertiplay, if flat Earth is true, where does the ocean fall at the end? Lubos, I do not believe in flat Earth. However, from the people I know that do believe in flat Earth, the entire ocean is surrounded by mountains, so it doesn't fall off the edge of the Earth, which is convenient. But I don't believe. I so don't believe in flat Earth. I hate to even mention it, but I do know that is something. That is something that's just that it's surrounded by land and mountains, so the water doesn't fall off the edge. And now people are making fun of how far behind I am. Carlos's Wow Bird is ranty today. Yeah, well, it's one of those days. Carlos's Bird of Prey just sending a hug to you all. Well, thank you, Carlo. Vile Mike's Bird of Prey. Has Sizzle Prey thought of names yet? Other than DJ Jr. Might I suggest Vile as a middle name? Well, you can suggest it, Vile. She has a favorite name, although it's not finalized. She has a favorite picked out, but I don't want to tell it. She can tell it one day. When she's here. Wesley's Bird of Prey. Did I hear my name? You did, Wes. Rock Solid found a woman wearing a Wesley Crusher shirt and told her to subscribe to me and Anti-Tracker and Lord. I wanted to thank him. Rock Solid is not British. She was just interesting. I'll be nice. See, Rock Solid, if you told her to subscribe to me, and there's even a 10th of a chance she's here right now, why would you be saying anything like this? This is terrible. I gotta say, everything I saw of her, she looked adorable. So I got no problems with her. I think Rock Solid might be having, I don't know, maybe he had a senior moment. Life with Matthew says, Qapla, Bird of Prey and all. Qapla, Life with Matthew. Rockstars of Bird of Prey, there was a TurboGrafx 16, the Turbo Duo, CD plus U card, Super Graphics, all part of the same generation. The Duo. I had the Duo. Thank you, Rock Solid. Bird of Prey, Tower Power from Sega was the Genesis, Sega CDX, and 32X. I had everything Sega, but not a 32X. I had the Sega, the Genesis, the Sega CD. I had the Sega Master System. I had the Game Gear. I had the converter for the play Master System games on the Game Gear. I think they did a converter to play Master System games on Genesis, but I did not have the 32X. Shramor says, what about Turdistani images of the coronavirus Bird of Prey fake news? Yeah, that's total fake news. If people are on Twitter, you might see some images of the so-called coronavirus released by Turdistan that have a resemblance to me. It looks to be my face in the center of each of the viruses. And first, I would say those look like bacterium, not virus. But second, it's fake news. It would be an amazing. I would be impressed if Kurogan geneticists could actually put my photo into a virus, into the DNA of a virus, so that you could actually see it on an electron microscope. I would be impressed. I would praise them. I wouldn't even try to hide it. But I can tell you, no, it didn't happen. When did Mamo Prey comment? Mamo Prey says, Bird of Prey, do not read Anti-Tracker comment. It will only end badly, trust me. Uh-oh. Do you mean don't read it out loud or don't read it to myself?
Oh, no, don't read it out loud.
Okay. Okay, I'll read it to myself.
And then,
Yeah, I think I have to take Mama Prey's advice. Shromore says home in Karoga, where Sassy and the alpacas play, where often is heard an SOB from Bird, and he flips off Turdistan all day. Sci-Advisors cry havoc and let slip the sassies of war on Anti-Tricker and Turdistan. And Mama Prey puts in at BirdZone5, just so that I would know. Okay, yeah, so I would see that you gotcha. Darth Raymond says, Bird of Prey, we have a system of writing a number on a page besides a pick of the candidates. They are manually counted. Well, that sounds good. I don't know about needing a picture of the candidate, but sure, why not? Mama Prey says, thank you, guys. Life with Matthews says, how far behind is the chat now? 3:52, 15 minutes. 15 minutes. We're still getting closer. So I still have to read just the at BirdZone5 till I get caught up. Captain Cat says, hail Karoga, my brother from another mother. Thank you, Captain Cat, again. Martok doesn't hate Karoga, Mr. Captain. Shromore says, Bird of Prey, Michael Bolton must have done the coding for the Democrats app. We saw what happened in Office Space with his decimal place error in his code. The Dems are cheating Bernie again. Listen, I'm not gonna even comment on who could be being cheated or what. All I know is that this is an F up. This is an F up, and they should never have relied on apps and shit like that. Whoever thinks that this is the future is dead wrong. Wesley says, Bird of Prey, how is George O'Prey? George, my bird, died young. I feel so bad. He was a blue parakeet. He did not last long. It's very, very sad.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, jeez. Okay, well now $1 super chat came in donation. Do I have to read something? Huh? Yeah, sure. Oh, we've got a special guest. Instead of me reading this donation, Mama Prey has graciously decided to read the donation, and I will bring it up in big text for you.
Thank you.
So you can see it.
I can't see a thing. I don't know if the screen is big enough.
It's okay. Here's what we'll do. We'll put it in our text editor. And then we'll Control plus it.
Okay. Hello world, it's me, BirdZone5, and my favorite song goes like this. All hail Karoga, the land of piss. If you never go there, nothing you will miss. Bird is our leader, that much is true, but we all wish we could serve the great poo. Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah, that would have ended badly also.
Yeah, it was very similar to the one earlier. So yes. Listen, you got a special Mama Prey reading your donation. You should be happy.
I'm reading
it. I thought you were about to say something.
No. If you need me again, call me. I'll be around.
Rock Solid says, my wife got pregnant at 40. Well, congratulations. Congratulations. Pyle says, I hope it was yours. People are mean. Why are people so mean? Mr. Captain says, Bird of Prey, are you going to end your Klingon persona now that Klingon Chancellor has officially declared war on Grogu? No, Mr. Captain. In fact, he changed. He was misled misinformed, possibly a changeling, and he came to his senses the very next day. So I have a hard time, I have a hard time blaming him. Darth Revan says, Bird of Prey, I would like to tell the chat I'm a woman. Okay, Darth Revan. Mr. Captain says, Bird of Prey, if you really want to troll Anti-Trigger, get a new pet and name it Michael O'Prey. Sassy, you want a new brother? Wesley says, Bird of Prey, I want a picture of female Wesley. Well, go to Rock Solid's channel, and it's like 5 minutes into the video. Rock Solid says, if you had a Turbo Duo, you still have it, Bird of Prey. I have PayPal ready. No, I don't, Rock Solid. Unfortunately, I used to sell and trade in my gaming systems as they got obsolete. We had a Commodore 64. We had so many things we gave. Huh? We had the 128. Yeah. Gave things away. Sold them. I had an Apple II GS. Yeah. That was my first computer that I had on my own in my room. The computers before that were family computers. Rock says, Bird of Prey, there was a power-based converter for the Genesis that allowed you to play... Yes, I had that too. That's what I had. The power-based converter allowed you to play Master System on the Genesis. Mr. Captain says, Bird of Prey, what would it take for a peace with Turkestan? They would have to surrender, they would have to stop fighting, and they would all have to take a shower and wash that smelly Turkestani conspiracy off of them. Darren Wagner says, Conspiracy Tuesday, is this new? It is, Darren. I've done a couple of bird zones, but Conspiracy Tuesday, I figured we'd see how it worked out. So if you have a conspiracy you want me to talk about, feel free to bring it up. I will give you my feelings on it. We already talked about chemtrails, and you were probably here when I was going off about Iowa. And orbs and pictures. Vile Mike says, the Master System converter for the Game Gear, nice. I love mine. Too bad the Game Gear is such a battery hog. I had to switch to NiCad batteries for mine to make it rechargeable. Yeah. I had the thing that was like the big magnifying glass you'd put on it, and like all this ridiculous stuff you'd put on to make the screen like an inch bigger. It had like extra speakers in it. Anti-Trekker says, Mom O'Prey is being a killjoy. Wow, Anti-Trekker. Wow. She's looking out for her son. Doesn't he know why? I don't know. Does he? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. She's coming to the microphone.
Hi, AT. You can't figure out why I'm sticking up for my son? You've always said anything you will put up with until somebody messes with your family. I know it's all in good fun, but before you got off your stream this morning, you yelled at him. He's still my little boy.
He yelled at me.
Yeah, he screamed.
Oh yeah, he was a little loud.
About him hating Klingons. And he got really upset.
Oh. Yeah, he says you got him there.
Okay.
There you go. That was it.
That's it.
That was it, Anti-Trekker.
Now I'll go back to my quiet mode.
Quiet Mama Prey reestablished. Number one sci-fi Bird Prey was just kidding about rhyming words with hail. That's fine. I mean, I didn't mind reading it. I like rhyming words. Sci-fi Nation Bird of Prey, Anti-Trigger drinks Romulan ale, acts like a Romulan, despises real Klingons like you, Anti-Trigger is Romulan confirmed. You know, Sci-Fi Nation, I was going to say something about the Romulan ale. However, if I remember correctly, even in Deep Space Nine, Martok does make a mention that even if the Romulans are Onolith dogs or something, they do make a fine ale. Something to that effect. So I think Martok would excuse the drinking of Romulan ale. That in and of itself does not make one a Romulan. It's just admitting that a species that is honorless does make one good product. Just being, it would be honorless to not admit that. Mr. Captain says, what's so damn complicated with voting with pencil and paper? It's not rocket science. No, it's not. It is not rocket science at all. They just want to make it more complicated, because the more complicated it is, the easier it is to cheat the system. And I don't know if the people cheating it are Russian bots or deep democratic, deep state people or the Clintons or anyone specific. You know, or crazy Bernie supporters that think they're doing it for the best of, you know, the ends justify the means, and they're doing it to help the country. I don't know, and I don't care. I just know that it is not safe. It's not good to have all these different electronics in the voting system. They are too easy to change. And it is too important to the process. Ozzy NF's Bird of Prey has a spokesperson. He really is the president. Andy Bird of Prey, wow, whomever left that $1 should be honored. Yes. Yes, I assume that person who left that dollar is extremely honored. Carlos's Bird of Prey, did you see Anti-Tracker rub on Klingon tattoo on the back of his neck? Yeah, no one will notice it fades away in a few. I did. I think I saw that same tattoo in a box of Cracker Jacks a few years back. But you know, if he wants to have a rub-on tattoo, when he goes to show it to the guy in a week or a month, or whenever he actually gets to see him again, it'll probably be something. Probably, you know, be like an inch higher, and it'll probably be like bent a few degrees to the left or something. So, whatever though. He wants to claim he has a tattoo. That's fine. I think we all realize almost all of Anti-Trekker's tattoos are fake. They're always moving around. Roxal says, you sold the Turbo Duo. Those were worth over 500, 800, depending on condition now. Roxal, I sold the Turbo Duo like a year or two after I got it. I'm sure it wasn't worth $800 at the time. It was probably worth less than what I paid for it new. Wesley says, Bird of Prey, tell Mama Prey how much we are glad she is here. There for you. She knows, Wes. She knows. Darren says, Bird of Prey, here's a conspiracy theory for you. Stevie Wonder can see. His exes all say he can, and there is footage of him doing things that require sight. Darren, I would point to the fact that the definition of legally blind and actually blind are very, very different. People can be legally blind and still be able to see a surprising amount. So I'm sure it's possible that there's something he can still see. If you know, I'm let's not say I'm sure, but if you're telling me this and that's true, and his exes all say he can see, I'm inclined to believe it, because it doesn't mean that he's not legally blind. And to be legally blind, one doctor had to certify him as legally blind at one point in his life. You know, once you're legally blind, you usually don't come back and say, oh, I'm not blind anymore. What happened? Why did the stars stop moving? You just noticed the stars stop moving behind me. I should start again. I was never supposed to stay on this screen for more than an hour. That's why. I have to fix that. But Darren, yeah, so I would say it's probably just the definition of what legally blind is. However, you bring up an interesting conspiracy, not directly, but being you brought up Stevie Wonder, it makes me think of the whole conspiracy where people claim that, what's his face? Stephen Hawking had passed away in like the 90s. And that the people have these pretty convincing photos that show that the new Stephen Hawking looks fairly, noticeably different. I mean, yeah, he's got the same look and he's in the same wheelchair, but if you look at the details, like his eyes and his teeth and his hands and his bone structure, yes, they're supposed to deteriorate. They're not supposed to get better, but while some things got worse, some things look like they got much better between early 90s Stephen Hawking and early 2000s Stephen Hawking. Which is, listen, I don't know. I mean, listen, why would anyone fake Stephen Hawking being alive? That's my problem. I have no idea. What benefit is it to the world to fake Stephen Hawking or Stephen Hawking, though he spells it Steph. Stephen, what benefit is it to anyone in the world to fake Stephen Hawking being alive? I have zero idea why. But, and especially since he's dead now, so it's not like they're saying Stephen Hawking lived forever. Everybody's saying, okay, now he's dead. But why would anybody need benefit from him being alive for another 10 or 20 years? I have no idea, but it's a very interesting conspiracy. If you look into it, because you're like, it's the kind of conspiracy you're like, let me look at this. I'm going to debunk this myself. And then you look into it and you're like, oh, fuck. You can't debunk it. And like, I don't even want to look into it anymore because I don't want to live with the implications of what I might find out here. So. Unlike Flat Earth, Darren, which I feel like I can debunk, the Stephen Hawking conspiracy, I can't. Vile Mike says, rock solid, yes, but this would be a turbo duo, owned by the great Bird of Prey 5. That would make it worth at least $5 to $6, maybe even $6.50. Oh, vile. I thought you were going to say 5 or 6,000. Mr. Captain says, Bird of Prey, maybe it should be called Conspiracy Tuesday. Isn't it called Conspiracy Tuesday? Did I mislabel it? I'm not above typoing the name. What did I call it if not Conspiracy Tuesday? Wesley says, rock solid, how much is the Sega Nomad worth now? The Game Gear that plays Genesis games. Interesting. Yeah, I've heard of it, but that was after I stopped with Sega stuff. Roxas says, even a Bird of Prey owned system would have a decent value, Vile. Wow. Anti-Trigger said, yeah, Mount Prey, you got me there. Roxas says, Wesley, around $80 to $120, depending on condition, on the Sega Nomad. Rambling Canucks says, Bird of Prey, your thoughts on the Olympic and Titanic switch theory? I think it's nonsense. I looked into it. I think, what I saw, it was pretty clear that the Titanic was the ship that's on the bottom of the ocean. I mean, everybody knows it was the Titanic that left that day. Nobody thinks it was the Olympic that left. I don't see, again, in my mind, it's the Titanic. It's an open and shut case. It's been a long time since I went into it. I don't remember all the details. I'd have to reread it, but from what I saw, it was pretty clear that it was the Titanic. I understand that, they do this for insurance money or something, but again, the sheer number of people that need to be involved in a conspiracy that size, it doesn't make sense. Because I mean, these aren't government workers, threatened with life in prison should they talk. These would have just been businessmen who would talk if it was worth their while to talk. Wesley says, Anti-Trick and Bird of Prey 5 pick on each other too much. Well, or maybe it's just the right amount. Uncle Remus is the wrath of Mom O'Prey. Way to go, Mom O'Prey, says Sci-Fi Nation. No, that was not a wrath. But yeah, Mom O'Prey says thank you, but that doesn't count as a wrath. Yeah, you have no idea. Roxanne says, Mom O'Prey layeth the smacketh down upon Anti-Trekkers, Rudy Poo candy ass. Wow. Oh, Mom O'Prey says, no, that's up to Mrs. Anti-Trekker. Sci-Fi Nation sighs. Oh, why? Anti-Trekker says, Bird of Prey, it was Martok that got me into drink Romulan ale. He is my mentor. Yeah. So I knew I wasn't gonna bring up the Romulan ale. Shrumore says, come on, fellow nerds, 32 watching and only 22 likes. Hit that like button. Subscribe if you've not already. Hit the bell icon for all your Bird of Prey 5 live streams and uploaded notifications. Yes! Thank you, Shrumore. Please, do hit that bell icon if you're subscribed, and do subscribe if you're not. It really helps. Wesley says, Rock Solid Productions know how hard is that to do. I don't know what they were talking about. Captain Cat gives Sci-Fi Nation a heart. Mike Richards says, Bird of Prey, our saucer accidentally disrupted the voting app in Iowa. Sorry. Live long and prosper, alien face. Mike Richards, it's possible. It's possible alien interference. They can interfere with nuclear silos. They can interfere with the voting. Roxas says, if you could ever solder Wesley, it's not too hard. I don't remember the Nomad uses security bits, though. Oh, he's trying to modify his Nomad. Sci-Fi Nation, Bird of Prey. My cousin is legally blind from glaucoma, but can still see enough to get around. Not allowed to drive, obviously. There was a woman who I worked with who... nicest woman you ever met, had terrible eyesight from, it wasn't glaucoma, it was something worse, like MS maybe, but she was still able to work and get around, and we in IT, we were getting her bigger and bigger screens because it was harder. It would get over the years. It got progressively harder for her to see things until I eventually just said, "Well, F buying," because we were still buying CRTs in those days. I said, well, "F buying like a 30-inch CRT. It's going to take up a whole desk." It was like, let's buy a 42-inch plasma television with a VGA input. And I didn't, that was one of the suggestions that I did not expect anyone to say yes to. And the head of the department at the time, it wasn't me, immediately said, "Oh yes, great idea." So I ordered this 42-inch plasma TV for her, and she was able to see for a few more years, at least till I left. But she drove to work every day, and not in a small car, in a full-size Ford Bronco. I don't know how she did it. Like, people would talk, how is she doing it? One person said that her husband drives in front of her or something, or she learned the route. I don't know how, but that woman made it to work and back every day without hurting anyone. But Jesus Christ, if you saw the size of the screen, it wasn't only the big screen, it was also the font was maxed out. I mean, I could hardly use it because it was just too big. But she was a very nice person. I'm glad that she did not get hurt. I don't know how some people drive, but apparently she had a license. So. Roxas is Bird of Prey. It's not Stephen Hawking, it's Stephen Putz. Well, if they wanted to be Stephen, then they should have spelt it with a V. Okay? I make that, I'm not going to say it's a mistake, but I make that a lot. If I see Stefan, I call it Stefan. If I see Steven with a V, I call it Steven. Darren Wagner's a bird of prey. Yeah, I believe Hawking probably died long, long ago. Not recently, like we're told. But I understand that, Darren. And looking at the photos, I can understand why people believe that. But I don't understand is what was the reason for it. I haven't been told a good enough reason for anybody to pretend to be Stephen Hawking. It's not like Stephen Hawking really did anything except comment on a few news stories from time to time. He held no real power. He didn't do anything. Huh? He wrote books. But that was the original Stephen Hawking. Wrote A History of Time, which I had as a kid. I remember. It was one of, Mama Prey got me A History of Time. Brief History of Time. Excuse me. A Brief History of Time. That was the type of stuff. Got me into quantum physics and stuff. But, after, he wrote books, but what, he didn't do anything. He didn't change world policy. He didn't go to the UN and say, we need to, get rid of all of our nuclear weapons, or we need to, create a space weapon capable of taking out an asteroid. He didn't do anything of value. Granted, he did value the scientific world, but he didn't do anything global changing after he supposedly died. So I just don't. Huh? Oh, my mom says the United Nations didn't have handicap access ramps, so he couldn't go. Anti-Trigger says, who the F is Stephen Hawking? You know who I'm talking about, Anti-Trigger. Rockstar says, holy shit, now Bird of Prey is calling him Stephen Hawking. Did someone hit the reset button? I forgot that he's supposed to be called Stephen. Darren says, Bird of Prey, I believe they faked Stephen Hawking still being alive because he's considered a scientific authority. So, had he died, it would have been Neil deGrasse Tyson. Would have been the authority. I mean, they're all idiots. I don't mean to be. But authority on theoretical physics, there's no authority. There's people who more people believe, but it's not that we have crises in theoretical physics that require a godly figure to settle them, and without which, order in the world breaks down. That's not the world we live in. If he wasn't there, so what? Somebody else would have thought of it. And if they didn't, they wouldn't. So maybe we'd be 10 years behind. And clearly, whoever this person was, they could have just said, "Oh, I'm a smart guy too. My name's not Stephen Hawking. My name is, William Balking. Who cares?" And what was he faking in a wheelchair? I don't know. Yeah. Well, Mike says, I do not sell them, but if you try to buy and do not get the graphite ones, if you do try to buy, do not get the graphite ones, they suck. Spend the money and get the steel. If you're a cheap son of a bitch, use the Vic trick. I missed that one. And yes, I said Stephen, Wesley. Like, whatever. Does Bird know how to pronounce, says Wesley. I know how, I choose not to sometimes. Sci-Fi Nation says it's titled BirdZone Conspiracy Tuesday. Well, yes, this is the BirdZone Conspiracy Tuesday. So you want me to just call it Conspiracy Tuesday and get rid of the BirdZone? I would have, but the graphic was already made that said the BirdZone. So I just added Conspiracy Tuesday underneath it. Darren says, Bird of Prey, what do you think about cryptids, Sasquatch, dogmen, the mysterious black cats in England, the Luska? Okay, I'm not familiar with the Luska. I believe it's possible that Sasquatch exists somewhere in the Pacific Northwest. I do not think it's possible Sasquatch exists anywhere else in this country, including, I mean, we've seen reports of Sasquatch in Ohio, reports of Sasquatch in upstate New York, reports of Sasquatch, what they call the skunk ape, in the southeast. I say no. No to those. The skunk ape in the southeast could have been escaped monkeys, but not a Bigfoot. But the Bigfoot, what we call Bigfoot Sasquatch, I'd say it's possible that they exist in the Pacific Northwest. There is enough land up there for them to live without coming into constant human contact, that they could exist. There could be a small community of them. However, the unfortunate fact is, every day that goes by that we do not have definitive proof of Sasquatch is a little bit less, I believe, that they're out there. Because if they're out there, we're going to find them in the next 10, 20, 30 years. Okay, they can't hide forever. There are more cameras, more people. They're getting further into the forests. Drones, all types of shit. Satellite surveillance can probably zoom in on a Sasquatch in an open field at this point. But yeah, heat sensors. So I want to believe in a way that they're there, that science has missed something this long. I mean, I want to believe, but the reality is, I'd say that I'd put it at 50-50 right now. And every day, month, year that goes by, I'd have to tick that down a slight amount. As for other things, Chupacabra, I've seen evidence of animals that don't fit, don't look like other animals. There could be a displaced species. It could be an unknown species of dog. Werewolf, I know we get werewolf, but if you've ever seen a bear that has no hair on it, like a bald bear, for whatever reason the bear became bald, I would swear it was a werewolf. It has a little patches of hair, and if it's standing up, which bears can do, and it has pale skin like a human. It looks like a white person, but with just patchy hair, maybe on just its face, it looks like a wolf. It looks like a person, like a standing person with a wolf face. So I am 100% sure that werewolves probably came from sick bears that had lost most of their hair. Because I mean, if you just look at a photo of one on Wikipedia, you're like, holy shit, it's a werewolf. Like, oh no, it's a mangy bear. And I'm sure mangy animals have come into spooked a lot of people and confused a lot of people over the years. But I do think that there are some animals we just haven't figured out yet but they're there. The mysterious black cats in England, I can't say I've ever heard of them. But yes, I believe in them. Yeah. I mean, they sound like they're probably just black cats. Carlo Albanese's bird of prey. Apparently, the Titanic hit it head on. It would have stayed afloat, but because they turned to avoid it, it caused too much damage down the side of the ship. It was a shame and a great lesson. Yeah, I've heard a lot of theories on how the Titanic could have survived. It is a great tragedy, but it did further nautical safety tremendously after that tragedy. Not saying it was good that it happened, but it wasn't all bad. In the end, we made the best of it. Ozzy and F's Bird of Prey are going to be playing Kerbal Space Program 2. Maybe Ozzy at some point, though I don't think I'll be playing it immediately after it comes out. Darren's Bird of Prey, the real conspiracy when it comes to Stevie Wonder is How blind is he versus how blind has he portrayed himself over the years? A guy goes to basketball games and watches the games. Yeah, Darren, everybody knows, oh, Stevie Wonder's blind, so, and he has the stick or whatever, so he walks around with the stick or people on either side of him so that, you know, he knows where he's going. I wouldn't be surprised if the man was more blind, was less blind than we're led to believe, but to be honest, I don't really care. It doesn't affect my life if Stevie Wonder is 25% less blind than he makes himself out to be. I don't listen to Stevie Wonder's music because he's blind. I listen to Stevie Wonder's music because I like his music. And just like I wouldn't stop listening to Stevie Wonder's music if he turned out to become Me Too'd and he, you know, did something wrong to a woman. Yes, he'd be a bad person, but I'm still going to listen to the music, at least the music he made to that point. I don't know if he'd be making music any further. So it really just doesn't matter to me, Darren, I guess is what it comes down to. I totally believe that he probably has more sight than is led on, especially if you tell me he watches basketball games. But it's not the end of the world. Rock Solids is better pray forget CRTs, get a PVM. PVM, personal video monitor. Carlos is better pray, what do you think about humans being advanced 6,000 years ago and lost all that technology because of a disaster and we had to learn everything again? Mamo Pray believes it. I gotta say, it's scary to think, but I'm open to that fact. I'm open to that fact. I would say, where is the wreckage of all this stuff? You know, if we were really that advanced, where is the wreckage? I mean, hell, we think we're advanced now, and we've polluted more than half the planet. And you would think, well, even if we died off today, and in 10,000 years another civilization came along, they would still be finding Doritos wrappers in the oceans and in the what? So Mama Bray says if the disaster happened before 1950, before we went to plastic everything, not nearly as much would be there. Yeah, but okay, maybe they got it to a 1900 level of tech, but still, there would be parts of airplanes. There would be shit that just doesn't look right somewhere. And I know there are things that don't look right. There are people have done dives that just they find unexplained wrecks on the bottom of the ocean. I don't know what it is, and I know if you have a massive ice age, the glaciers literally just destroy everything. If you have miles of ice covering, I mean, they would say that there was 2 miles of ice covering the island of Manhattan. I mean, if 2 miles of ice covered the island of Manhattan, would there really be anything left when the ice receded? Probably nothing above the ground. Below, I guess that would probably still be there, but I'm saying, Carlo, I could believe it. I have seen nothing that proves to me it happened, but it's certainly within the possibility. Vile likes the old CRTs. Newer TVs make stuff look weird. Well, certainly non-HD stuff, it does. Sci-Fi Nation Bird of Prey. My mom has MS, but can still see. This is a hard time getting around. I also use a 45-inch plasma TV for a monitor via HDMI. And yes, and today, Sci-Fi, using a plasma TV as a monitor, it's fairly normal. But this was 2002 or so. The plasma TV was $8,000 at the time. Whatever size. It was either 42 or 46 inch. It was $8,000 at the time. Now you go out and you get a TV. You wouldn't get plasma today. You'd get a an LCD at Walmart for probably $400 or less. Rockstar says, I prefer modern TVs with OSSCs or Rectronics. Carlos says, Bird of Prey, have you heard of the mud floor and how basement windows prove it happened? There were wireless energy before the mud floor and they didn't want to give it for free. I've not heard of the mud floor. I've heard of Tesla. I've heard of his tower he built here in Long Island. But I built some Tesla coils in my life, in my college days. I was going through my Tesla phase. I built a couple of Tesla coils. The problem with Tesla coils is the range. And no matter, the range drops off with the square of the distance. Like anything, like most things in physics does. So I don't care if you built a 200-foot tower, that range is not going to go, miles and miles and miles. It's going to drop off with the square of the distance, which means as you get, 50 feet away and you go 100 feet away, you're going to get 1/4 of available power, you double your distance, you're getting 1/4 of the power. So it never seemed practical to me that even with Tesla coils, that you could project power around the globe. And also, just because you're projecting power doesn't mean that power is free. A Tesla coil doesn't create power out of thin air. It still needs to be fed power. And conservation of energy and matter, thermodynamics, you can't just make up free power. So if you had a Tesla coil that was powering a small city, you would still need to produce as much electricity as you do to the city and to have it go out, assuming you could get the same energy transfer efficiency through the air as you could with a direct wire connection, which I will say, fine, let's say you could. Let's say you could be as efficient, or even 10% more efficient, which I find hard to believe. But let's say you could be 10% more efficient. So you still need a power coming to that city that's only 10% less of the power powering the city at any given time. And so it's wireless power, but it doesn't solve any power problems, and it's not free. I mean, somebody still has to pay for it. Somebody still has to produce the power. You're still going to need, nuclear power plants or coal plants or any moment they're going to announce the Iowa caucuses. You still need power, so it's still going to cost money. There's no such thing. As far as we know within physics today, there is no such thing as free energy. The closest we might get to that in our lifetimes would probably be fusion. If we can get cold fusion to work well, it's not going to be free, but it should be cheaper than just about any other power source we have once we get the kinks worked out. That would be our best chance. Now, 100, 200, 300, 400, 500 years from now, maybe we can find a way to tap into quantum power of the quantum vacuum. Possible. But we seem like we are generations away from being able to do that. And that's the only place where you can even conceivably get so-called free energy from. But the mud floor, I have no idea what that was, Carlo. Okay, so we got the Democratic chair is gonna read the results. We got a couple minutes, it looks like, before that happens. Rock Solid says Bird of Prey is complaining because Stephen Hawking didn't pull a Greta Thunberg. I don't know what that means. I know who Greta Thunberg is. Darren says, Bird of Prey, Stephen Hawking was more significant to our society than you are making him out to be. He was an influencer. You make him sound like he was on Instagram. Listen, I love Stephen Hawking. He was a great man, and he was a genius, and he was an inspiration to, people, both handicapped and non-handicapped. I love the movie they made about him, but he was a scientist who studied mostly theoretical physics. If Stephen Hawking had died in 1990, I can't really point to any particular part of our life that would be drastically different had he passed away then, and then he did when he passed away several years ago. And if you've got some proof otherwise, I'd love to hear it, but I just don't see it. Captain MKG says Bird of Prey, and the chat jumps. Bird of Prey, we can always rest assured that the most important brains are kept in jars for all time. Yeah. And Sci-Fi Double puts in points up at that. Darren says Bird of Prey, Hawking occasionally commented on things that were always made into headlines and reinforce certain beliefs in the world. Need to look more into this. Darren, I'll look, but his headlines came on slow news days, in my opinion. I really have a hard time trying to think of anything that mattered. Listen, for the scientific world, yes, he was a genius, and I'm sure he advanced our understanding of theoretical physics by a generation. But theoretical physics probably has very little to do with our real world daily stuff. And being a generation ahead isn't really going to affect people who go to the supermarket to buy their food and have to feed their families and have jobs and do those types of things. Ungreen says the movie about Stephen Hawking was good. The Theory of Everything. Yes, it was. Sasquatch. During Wagner's Bird of Prey, credible Sasquatch sightings would have been reported in 49 states. My area of Wisconsin, the driftless is a hotspot. And Darren, that's why I said that I believe the Pacific Northwest is the only place I really believe it. There was a credible. I've read the database of credible Sasquatch sightings. Sasquatch. There was a so-called credible Sasquatch sighting about half a mile from my Adirondacks house. So, like, literally, place I've been hundreds and hundreds of times over my life. You can't hide a Sasquatch there. I'm sorry. Yeah, it's empty land compared to New York City, but there are people walking through the woods. There's things going on. I mean, deers and bears can't go through the town without being noticed. There's no way that there's was there a rogue Sasquatch 1,000 miles away from any other Sasquatch? It doesn't make sense. You certainly can't have a population of them up there. And yeah, so there was a sighting. But what does that really mean? It just means that somebody thinks they saw a Sasquatch. It could have been a bear, could have been a mangy bear. It could have been DJ Odyssey in a Sasquatch shoot. Okay, here we go. We're getting the audio. Good afternoon. I don't trust this guy. Yes, they were unacceptable. He apologizes. Deeply. So they wanted to confirm the data. He keeps talking. My number one priority has been ensuring the priority, the accuracy, and the integrity of the results. Oh, Jesus, a couple minutes. They only have 62% of the precincts. They hit a stumbling block. We know this data is accurate. The one thing I want you to know is we know this data is accurate. You know what that makes me think? The data is not accurate. Because if I thought the data was accurate, I wouldn't go out there and say, the one thing I want you to know is this data is accurate. It's personal to him. He's caucused for 20 years. Blah, blah, blah. Ah, God. We want Iowans to be confident. Yes, release the results. No, don't take questions.
In the air around the World Trade Center.
Right, yeah, it sounds like they told us that you could breathe the air around the World Trade Center. Oh, the data's secure. It was always secure. There was a coding error in one of the pieces on the back end. But the raw data is secure. How do you know? I can assure Iowans of that. They're asking, when do you think you can get to 100% of the votes? You're going to take the time they need. He's still saying it's a couple of minutes till it comes out. We have a paper trail. Of course you have a paper trail. But what if you have more papers than you were supposed to have? Though anti-tracker breaking news. Sasquatch finally confirmed in Bayside. Witnesses shaped he was like 2 round hairy cheeks, one of which has a hole in it. Anyway, I'm going to put on a commercial while I listen to this guy and figuratively Jaloja.
Good news today at the Ground Round.
You get a whole lot more at the Ground Round. You get a whole lot more.
What's the good news?
USDA Choice Top Sirloin Steak, just $3.99.
That's good news.
And new golden fried clams, also $3.99.
More good news.
Try our baked lemon butter scrod, just $3.99.
That is good news.
Steak, clam, scrod, just $3.99 each at participating Ground Rounds.
At the Ground Round, you get a whole lot more.
Right from the moment. Here's where it all started. History will blow you away. Right from the arts, the symphony and the ballet. There's a lot to fit in. Right from the legend.
Are you the legend? Nah, he's the legend. Hey, I'm just marvelous.
Right from the heart.
To be part of Boston's exciting new spirit, just call 1-800-858-0200.
It'll cheer you right up. Boston is right from the start.
Do it up, happy up.
Get that do it up feeling.
Do it up.
great names in jeans do it up in style. With an exciting fall collection of denim and corduroy jeans in a rainbow of colors. Gloria Vanderbilt by Mershani and The Gap bring you the fit that stops traffic wherever you go.
Fall into the Gap.
Have a Gloria Vanderbilt fit at The Gap.
You're cool, you're crisp, you're hard to resist, you're bright, ooh, refreshing you like, ooh, you're Canada dry. You're a singular style, you're a reason to smile. You're clever, you're neat, you're never too sweet. Ooh, you're Canada.
One more minute, guys. Just gotta take a pill.
Has Wayne Newton split with his wife and hit the jackpot with his new romance? Inquiring minds want to know.
I want to know.
Can you lose weight by switching from celery to sweets? This week's National Enquirer tells you. How can you put office troublemakers in their place? What curse of death and disaster haunts the Super Bowl?
It's in the Inquirer.
What bizarre surprises popped up on Caroline's wacky honeymoon? Find out in the Inquirer. Over 100 features for people with inquiring minds.
Like me.
Your cat is your friend and he depends on you to take good care of him. Purina Cat Chow. Purina Cat Chow. You can depend on Purina Cat Chow. Purina Cat Chow. Chow chow chow.
He depends on me for loving care, and I depend on Purina Cat Chow to give him great taste and nutrition.
Purina Cat Chow. You can depend on Purina Cat Chow. Purina Cat Chow. Chow chow chow.
So it's Buttigieg with 26.9%, Sanders with 25.1%, Warren with 18.3%, and Biden with 15.6%. Bloomberg and Gabbard have 0%. So 62%. Buttigieg is so far leading, but Bernie could easily come in with the since there's almost 40% on not counted. Warren and Biden are far distant thirds and fourths. They've got no shot. It's basically between Buttigieg and Bernie, if we believe what they're telling us. Anyway, back to it. Rock Solid says Hobbit-sized Sasquatch reported in Tennessee. Bird of prey. He's very hairy, braided though. Poor temperament, aggressive, stinks like poo. Yeah, I believe it. Number one, Bird of Prey 5. Number one, sci-fi. Bird of Prey. Do you believe in aliens? I do, Bert. I do, number one. There are definitely aliens out there in the universe. Do I believe aliens have visited Earth? I do. I do. Yosef says, Bird of Prey, Paul McCarthy also died in a car crash and was replaced by a look-alike. Another crazy theory. That one I have not heard. And Angel is on his way. So I have maybe 15 minutes to finish this stream. So guys, you can keep putting in chats, but it's unlikely I'll get to them all at this point. I am sorry, we have people coming over. Captain Trax says, Alexa, where's the best pizza in New York? Cancel. The best. No, cancel. Alexa, cancel. Alexa, cancel. The best pizza in New York is Pizzarama, right here by my house. Easy enough. Tiki of Doom says Titanic was totally worth it, Bird of Prey. Titanic was totally... I did not say the Titanic was totally worth it. Simon Agent, Bird of Prey, Janeway and Voyager saved the passengers of the Titanic. Mighty Text. Did she save the passengers of the Titanic? No, she saved Amelia Earhart. They didn't save the passengers of the Titanic. Unless there's an episode I forgot about. She saved Amelia Earhart and like a dozen other people that were taken in the right before World War II. Shromore says, "Hail Karoga, Hail Karoga." Captain America says, "Bird of Prey, your video description says you are selling merch. Who are you keeping them? Where are you keeping them stored?" Well, them selling merch through teespring.com, which you can get the link to on birdofprey5.com. So they keep all the stock, and they just print the items as needed. Roxodds is Bird of Prey, PVM equals a professional video monitor. Ah, gotcha. Roxodds says, wait. What about the biggest conspiracy of the last 25 years, Bird of Prey? There were two different Ultimate Warriors in the WWF. Rock Solid, I don't know. I haven't looked at wrestling in the last 25 years. I do know when I was a kid, there was only one Ultimate Warrior. I don't think there was two. But that was more than 25 years ago. Stromore says McDonald's cheese would still be in its natural state 10,000 years from now. Adega Outlaw says, Hail chat, Qapla Adega. Aberdam says, Bird of Prey, what do you think of the theory that the Eye of the Sahara was once the city of Atlantis? There's so many things of Atlantis, and here's my problem with the city of Atlantis. Plato, I think it was Plato, who first wrote about it, was one of those Greeks. Plato or Socrates, one of the ones that the guy in Princess Bride all said were idiots. Whoever, I think it was Plato, when he wrote about Atlantis, he said it was a fictional place. He wasn't writing it was a piece of fiction. It wasn't supposed to be taken literally. It wasn't supposed to be taken real. So people are looking for Atlantis, and I'm sure somewhere there are lost cities. It only makes sense. We build, as human beings, for whatever reason. I mean, I know back in the day it was probably because it made the most sense. You build a city close to water. You had easy access to food, easy access to transportation. But cities on the coast are the most vulnerable places to build cities. They can be taken out by tidal waves, by earthquakes, by hurricanes, by just terrible storms. They're a disaster waiting to happen. So it is totally believable that in thousands of years of human civilization, several cities, coastal cities, were lost pretty much overnight. So I believe that the myth of an advanced city that was destroyed or lost relatively quickly is legitimately real. But was there specifically one called Atlantis? No, I don't think so. So yeah, I don't believe that. And I don't believe, it was pretty clear that Plato, I believe it was Plato, he was writing a fictional book. He wasn't writing the true history of the world by Plato. He was writing, 50 Shades of Plato by Plato. Carlos says, I don't believe the mud floor, but I think us losing technology thousands of years ago might be true. Well, Carlo, I'd say look at that Baghdad battery. That's something that it doesn't make sense that they would have had that if it wasn't producing electricity. But what the hell were they using the electricity for? I mean, it doesn't produce enough electricity to light a light, and we've never seen a light bulb or anything. But Jesus Christ, they had them. They did something with Baghdad batteries. They existed. So he must be missing something. Thomas's Bird of Prey, Dear Bop, I uncovered a changeling that pretended to be Sci-Fi Nation last night. So why is Sci-Fi Nation still a jerk? He's from Kuroga. Wesley says, Bird of Prey, what about the wave-powered generators? They are still taking power out of the ocean. And wind turbines are taking power out of the atmosphere. And yes, I am concerned that if we went to tons and tons of wind power, that we would literally be taking enough energy out of the Earth's atmosphere to affect the weather patterns. And you know what? We might be doing it already. There is no such thing as free energy. If you create the energy if you take energy from the atmosphere from wind, you are taking energy out of the atmosphere. If you take it from the ocean, you are taking energy out of the ocean. Now, the ocean, I believe, has a ton more energy that it could give up than the atmosphere before it affects our planet. But it is still, you're taking energy out of a system. If the entire world was powered by wave generators, we might start to have effects on ocean currents. And then what do we do? There is no perfect place to get power from. Geothermal, we are taking heat out of the Earth's core. Every time we make geothermal energy, yeah, it's only a fraction of a second, probably, but that's a fraction of a second sooner that the Earth will cool off, the Earth's core will cool, and our magnetic field will collapse than had we not done geothermal. Now, granted, I think we could probably do tons of geothermal energy, and it might be that the sun explodes before the Earth cools off. But you have to remember, you are taking energy from something. It's not free. The energy has to be coming from somewhere. Wesley's a Bird of Prey. I've seen video of engineers working on sea wave generators charging batteries. Okay. Yeah, I mean, you can charge a battery from the sea. That's fine. I mean, once you make a generator, you can charge a battery. Rock says it's Bird of Prey. They're not going to release all of Hawkeye at 5 p.m. Just some of the results. Yeah, 62%. Carlos says, I'll vote for Bernie. Does it count? Who is he? He's the only one I know of. You can vote for anyone you want, Carlo. I'm not going to preach one way or the other on this stream. Thomas's Bird of Prey flies and drives better than the DNC does its primary. I agree. Ozzy says Bird of Prey. Can you name a song where Jean-Luc Picard is mentioned? No, I can't name a song where Jean-Luc Picard is mentioned. I mean, I remember the song he sang when it was an alien that took over his body in 10 Forward, and he's like, oh, let's come in, let's all... I used to sing these chants in my academy days, and he led 10 Forward in a sing, but they didn't mention him by name. Captain MKG says, fun fact, this is a carrot, and now we know. Okay, so he put carrots, but what I was trying to say was bringing extra attention, emphasis. Emphasis was the word I was looking for at the time, not carrot. I knew what the character was. Uncle Remus is cheaper than Duracell batteries. That's a good question. Captain MKG says, Bird of Prey, we all know that Bigfoot mystery is part of the Boogie Creek legend down in Arkansas, referring to an episode of Mystery Science Theater 3000. Thomas says the DNC will blame Russia. Captain MKG says the data is irrelevant because the voting happens with dollars. Oh, well, whatever. They blame Russia. They blame Trump. They blame global warming. Who cares? It's all. Everybody's going to get blamed. All the usual suspects. Roxanne says Bird of Prey, the data is secure on Hillary's email server. I wouldn't be surprised. Yes, we found the most secure server to use the Iowa vote. Anthony Jurgens says, Bird of Prey, breaking news, Sasquatch finally confirmed in Bayside, New York. Witnesses said he was shaped like 2 round hairy cheeks. One of them has a hole in it. Also was pissing into a vacuum and yelling, Chaloja. Thomas Potts' 2008 DNC primary votes: Hillary 17,822, 145. Obama 17,535, 458. Guess who won? Obama won. Sci-Fi Nation says Bird of Prey sightings of 2 Sasquatches confirmed in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. One looks like a hairy hooker, and the other looks like a fake Klingon hobbit. I believe those. Shrelmore says Bird of Prey, good evening, with 6,300 votes cast. 2,050 for Bernie Sanders, 2,100 for Joe Biden, 1,000 for Tulsi Gabbard, and 1,000 for Andrew Yang, and 4,586,765,000,000. Okay, 194 for Elizabeth Warren. Nothing wrong here. Well, they're actually saying Warren is in last place, or second to last place. Uncle Remus says, did Hillary win? No, I predicted that Hillary was going to be the surprise winner in the caucus this morning on Twitter, if anybody follows me on Twitter. I said, surprise result, Hillary Clinton wins the Iowa caucus. But no. Rock Solids is Bird of Prey, happy 50th birthday to Warwick Davis. Happy 50th. Rock Solids is Bird of Prey, if Joe Biden knows how to fix America, why didn't he tell Obama? Well, I want to know if he's going to cure cancer. Why didn't he cure cancer? Why is he going to make us wait till he wins to cure cancer? Because Joe Biden said, and I quote, when I'm elected, we're going to cure cancer. So he knows. He's either lying, or he knows the cure to cancer right now, and he's not going to tell us that he's elected. So, for Russia's sake, we should probably vote for Joe Biden. Peter Quinn says, thought I'd pop in for 20 minutes after the science stream, but pray. Qapla, Peter. Well, alien life should be abundant. I think it is. Peter says, Bird of Prey, but intelligent life, Earth, Inc., it remains to be seen. Yeah, well, I think it remains to be proven, but I think they've been here. Sci-Fi Nation says, Bird of Prey, the episode with Amelia Earhart was the 37s. Titanic was a separate episode. There was no Voyager episode where they saved the Titanic? How could they save the Titanic? That would completely change the timeline. Sci-Fi, what episode? I need to know, Sci-Fi. Because I gotta say, I don't believe you, but I want to believe because I want there to be a Voyager episode I haven't seen somehow. And I can watch a not terrible, not awful Star Trek, possibly, tonight. But no, I really don't think there was an episode where they saved the Titanic. But I'd love to be proven wrong. Peter Quinn says, well, there are lost cities in the mud. I believe it. Peter says there was a rock slide that created a tsunami in the Mediterranean. Yes, and sank an island. Yes, the Mediterranean is full of lost cities because the Mediterranean was like the cradle. I know Iraq was the cradle of civilization, but the Mediterranean was like the second cradle of civilization. Everybody was using it. That was the place to be. Roxanne says there's reports the DNC candidates got a huge fight at a local Iowa seafood restaurant today. Battered fish was everywhere, huh? Okay. Peter puts in a link, but Peter, I can't read it right now because I'm way behind. I gotta finish very soon. Causes Bird of Prey, I think the batteries were used to gold plate jewelry, but that's just a theory. Yeah, it's a theory, but that would still completely change our understanding of ancient culture. Peter says it's a misnomer, Bird of Prey. I'm not going to do into it all, but... okay. Yosef is a Bird of Prey. It's not free energy, it's renewable energy. I wouldn't call it renewable, Yosef. It depletes. Peter Gwynn says geothermal, heat water using heat from the earth. Yes. But that means you are cooling the inside of the earth. It doesn't just, yes, there's a ton of heat. There is a ton of heat, but you are cooling it ever so slightly. Thomas's Captain Cat has to end the stream soon, so every time he stops ranting more, comments will get unread. Yeah. Peter Gwynn says, Bird of Prey, you cannot put a building by throwing a drop. You cannot put out a building by throwing a drop of water at it. Well, I didn't say you could. Thomas's Bird of Prey, Yang is at 1.1%. Guess he needs to beat people up. Oh yeah, Yang Gang. Sci-Fi, number one Sci-Fi says, Bird of Prey, what about solar power? That doesn't screw up the environment. Actually, it does take heat away from the Earth. Now, I'm not saying that's necessarily a bad thing, but the solar electricity that's being created is heat that's not being absorbed by the planet. So, yes, widespread solar panels is technically cooling the environment in that general vicinity. Is it bad? It could be a positive side effect, but it is not free energy. The energy is being lost. It would have been energy that would have been entered the Earth or be absorbed by the Earth, the rocks, the soil, the buildings around it, had that panel not been there. There is simply no such thing as free energy. Not yet. Not that we know of. Peter Quinn says, anyways, night, Bird of Prey and all. Take care, Peter. Thomas's Bird of Prey, AOC is skipping the State of the Union because that's the adult thing to do. I'm not surprised. Joseph says, the only mention of Titanic on Voyager was in Year of Hell by Tom Paris, Bird of Prey. And renewable energy like solar depletes in 4.5 billion years. Wind same once Earth stops spinning. That's the thing. There might well be enough that it won't be a problem before the Earth gets destroyed. But it's not saying that it's not taking it out from somewhere. You take heat, you take sunlight, you take something, you take wind energy, you are affecting the atmosphere, you're affecting the ocean, you're affecting the planet itself and the absorption of sunlight. Carlos says, good night, Bird of Prey, Mile Prey, and everyone else. And Thomas Potts says, Bird of Prey and family, have a good night. Thank you guys so much. Really enjoyed this stream. I had a lot of fun. Maybe we'll do this next Tuesday. And even if there's not a major F-up in an election. But Qapla All, take care. I do have to go. I won't see you on Anti-Tracker stream because he did his already. Bye. Thank you all for watching my video. Please remember to comment, like, and subscribe. And don't forget to hit that bell icon. Without it, you won't get notifications of new videos. Check out BirdOPrey5.com, the new home of everything Bird of Prey 5 on the web. You can also check out my forum at juot.net. I'm also on social media, on Facebook, Twitter, and Gab. If you'd like to make a donation, check out paypal.me/BirdOPrey5 or on BirdOPrey5.com. Take care.